Happy Monday, fight fans. We're back. It's the DAZN Boxing Show. I go by the name of Ak.
And I'm Barack, the boxing bully.
So lovely for you to join us. Amazing weekend of boxing. My goodness, Barack. I'm excited. And I can't
One of the best weekends in a very, very long time. We had about 7 significant fights.
Right. No question about it. But we are going to get into what happened in London, in the O2 Arena. The GOAT, she is back. Clarissa Shields, once again, undisputed. But first, let's get into that co-main event. What a fight, high-level boxing. Alicia Baumgarner versus Michaela Mayer. It's the opening bell. You know, Barack, as I expected, making a prediction for this fight, when I was asked, it was tough for me. I kept saying 50-50 fight, 50-50 fight. And I knew that Michaela Mayer had a more extended amateur background. She's an Olympian. She was more known going into the professionals. But there was something about Alicia Baumgarner that I always liked, even before she had that big knockout in her breakout fight. Just her composed professional style. You know when people say, Barack, that person has an amateur style. That person has a professional style. You know what they mean by that, right? So that's what I've always seen in Alicia Baumgarner. And that's what I saw early in that fight in the first couple of rounds. She was in complete control. Credit to Michaela Mayer, who really came back strong and applied pressure, and she won rounds. But I have to be honest here, Barack. I scored the fight 7 rounds to 3. And this is not saying that it wasn't a close fight. Those rounds where I scored them for Alicia Baumgarner, they were close rounds. Michaela Mayer had moments in those rounds, but I still gave those rounds to Alicia. I thought she landed the more power-telling blows, the more telling blows, the power shots. And in my opinion, she had more ring generalship in that fight, but it was a great competitive fight. I just don't feel that Michaela, warrants, I don't think her saying that she won the fight, not liking decision, leaving the ring without speaking to commentators. I don't think the fight warranted that.
Well, the fight probably never warrants that unless you got to go to the hospital. But I can understand the frustration of any fighter when they feel like they won. I know one of the judges had it 7 rounds to 3 for Michaela. I definitely didn't see that. It was a close fight, but yeah, you get a lot of close fights. Sean Porter and who? Danny Garcia was semi-close. No, Sean Porter and Keith Thurman was a close fight, and I think what gave it to Keith Thurman was the crisp, cleaner shots and the shots that looked harder. And that's probably why they gave it to Baumgardner. Listen, I think she won the first couple of rounds. And when you're only fighting 10 rounds, and you're only fighting 2 minutes, by the way, but you're only fighting 10 rounds, you gotta win those first couple of rounds. You have to, and I think that's the same thing with Clarissa Shields. So I always say you never know when a fighter is great until they had the opportunity to prove it. Going into the fight, we're looking at Michaela's record, we're looking at her amateur pedigree, and we're saying she's more proven. But we're looking at Baumgartner, who had one good fight, literally, Terry Harper, but we didn't know how great she was until Saturday night, and she definitely proved it. I'm gonna tell you like this. I know she said, I ain't giving that girl a rematch. I'm not mad at that. I think she should go for, undisputed. Who doesn't want to go for that? Go for undisputed. But eventually, we might want to see a rematch because that was a great fight.
No, that's a great way to put it. I mean, I think initially when that thought, when they asked her the question and thought crossed her head, she's thinking probably, look, I just been in a hard war, 10 round war with this woman. I have an opportunity to fight Choi, come undisputed. That's not crossing.
It's possible she was thinking that, but at the end of the day, what's better for her and what's better for boxing? Having undisputed fighters.
Of course.
This is the era of the undisputed. That's what I've been saying since 2019. This is the era of the undisputed. Like, we having a lot of undisputed fighters in different weight classes. You know what that means? The best are fighting the best, and that's it. So if I was her manager, I would ask her. I would actually want her to fight Choi so she can become undisputed.
I mean, you gotta love that type of story, Barack. I mean, a young lady who was I guess, overlooked at times, wasn't signed to promotional companies that she wanted to be signed to. You know, obviously DAZN and Matchroom gave an opportunity to fight Harper. She took advantage of that, but she had to prove herself, and she's continuing to prove herself, like you mentioned. I love her style, the energy she brings to a promotion. She was very vocal, going back and forth with Michaela. And, you know, two great women battling it out for 10 rounds. This is just elevating women's boxing to a whole new level. Amazing card. Big congrats, Alicia Baumgarner.
But you know what that means, right? It means that women's pound for pound list has to get changed.
Oh, it has to get updated, no question about that.
Alicia Baumgarner's name has to be on the pound for pound list.
No question about that. Listen, I'm excited to see what's next for her. So we'll have her on later on this week. Let's get to the main event, the main course. Clarissa Shields fighting Savannah Marshall. Now, Barack, we all knew that Savannah was a heavy puncher, and she landed big shots throughout the fight against Clarissa. Clarissa showed that she has a chin. She can take a shot from a good girl. But I said it going into this fight, you know, there are levels when it comes to skill, speed, athleticism. Clarissa just went into this fight with all of those things. And also credit to Savannah, who did not stop coming regardless of what she was getting hit with. She is a warrior. That was a phenomenal fight. It was a close fight. I still think when you watch the fight, when you sit back after the last bell, there's no way in the world you think, oh, this fight could have went to Savannah Marshall. I mean, it was evident who won the fight. It doesn't mean that it wasn't a hard battle and that Savannah didn't win the rounds. Credit to Clarissa Shields, phenomenal performance.
Great performance by both women. And like you said, you can only perform according to your skill set. And Clarissa Shields is just way above everybody, I guess. You know, I definitely want to give Savannah Marshall a lot of credit, not just for her performance, but also afterwards by actually saying, I lost to the better fighter. Hold your head up high because you did an incredible, incredible job that night. Even Clarissa Shields admitted, this is my toughest fight. I think I heard her say that while she was in the ring. This was definitely one of my toughest fights, you know, and she was saying that Savannah Marshall can crack. So I just love Clarissa Shields' honesty. She's always honest. She always wears her heart on her sleeve. And the difference was the skill set. And you know what's crazy is that it was a close fight, in my opinion, because Clarissa probably got winded a couple of times. And even though we hardly ever seen her tired before, but you're talking about a person with that much pressure. Savannah Marshall applied that much pressure, and Clarissa would get on the ropes, and that's when Savannah would take control, you know, by landing the punches. Even if some punches don't land, it still looks good. It still looks busier, and it can give Savannah those rounds. And I believe that's why the fight was close. You know, Clarissa really, in my opinion, she took the first 4 rounds. And like I said before, you gotta win the first rounds. You gotta win the early rounds when you're only going 10 fights. Obviously, you wanna win all the rounds. Right. When you're only going 10 fights, you don't have the opportunity to be, 10 fights, right. When you're only going 10 fights, that's it. No, when you're only going 10 rounds, you don't have the opportunity to be a slow starter.
No, not only that.
Clarissa went straight for her in the first 4 rounds, and I think that's what gave her the victory. But also, she wasn't scared to go to the body to try and slow.
She did. But to add to that, Barack, it's not only the first few rounds, it's the first minutes of the round. It's only 2 minutes, so you have to start right away as well. Yes. You can't get comfortable for a minute figuring your opponent out because that's half the round already. So you got to get right to it when it comes to women's boxing. And she was landing. I've never seen Clarissa throw to the body that much. She threw the right looping right hook to the body and the left hook to the body all night. And I mean, that might have been one of the key things in that fight to slow Savannah down a little, but she still wouldn't slow down. So I think that helped her. She did whatever she had to do to win. She's a winner. She did whatever she had to do to win. She avenged her loss against Savannah Marshall. It seems like these women are cool with one another. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even mind watching that fight again, but what's next for Clarissa Shields? Does she go up to 168 and try to become the undisputed in 3 divisions? I mean, with a win like that, I mean, you're excited about it and you're thinking about what's next.
Oh man, you know what's crazy is that, you know, we were talking earlier last week, and we were talking about Serrano and Katie, and you know, Katie being a top woman because she beat such a great fighter. But that fight right there was really great, and it showed how good Savannah Marshall really is. It showed the grit that she has. It shows that she's one of those fighters that's hard to beat and hard to stop. You know, so I'm sure that victory raised Clarissa Shields' stock way more than what we expected. Listen, Clarissa shows that she is an amazing fighter. She's super fast, super skilled. Her jab was on point. The body work is what surprised me. For her to go to the body work with both punches, the right hand and the left hand, that surprised me. Shows that she was able to mix it up in the pocket. You know, I know one thing that what's his name, Timothy Bradley was saying was that, you know, she was in the wrong range. The middle round, she was in the wrong range. You know, she was mid-range instead of up close or outside. But it just goes to show that she was brave enough to do that. Because look, after the fight, if you say this is a very, very hard puncher, damn, that goes to show the chin that she has. She got that Floyd Mayweather chin, you know, where she can take the shots of a strong puncher like Savannah Marshall.
Look, I mean, excited to see what's next with women's boxing. Continue to support it. For those that watched the fight, I mean, you had 20,000 people there. Phenomenal performance.